Coming up on Grady Newsource, former UGA football coach Mark Rick provides an unlikely outlet for those battling Parkinson's. Plus, a downtown Athens fair with some international flair.
We all know April showers bring May flowers. It's the first Monday of April, but just how long are these showers going to stick around? I'll have what you need to know and how to prepare later in the full 5-day forecast.
And we'll have the latest on the Trump indictment. All of these stories and more next on Grady Newsource.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Connor Hendricks. As we come on the air tonight, we begin with breaking news. Taking a live look outside of Trump Tower, former President Donald Trump arrived in New York less than an hour ago. Tomorrow he'll appear in court following his indictment related to an alleged hush money payment to an adult film actress. Tonight, Grady Newsource reporter Hannah Nelson joins us live in the newsroom to tell us the latest and explain how this might affect Georgia. Hannah?
That's right, Connor. Trump will be the first American president to be indicted in U.S. history. The former president will be arraigned on charges related to the hush money payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office has not yet unsealed the charges that will be brought against the former president. President Trump released a statement regarding these charges, calling them, quote, political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. I had a chance to speak with public affairs professor Dr. Joseph Watson about how Trump's charges in New York may affect the investigation into his alleged election interference in Georgia.
For prosecutors here in Georgia that are looking at the allegations against former President Trump based on the election results in 2020, obviously very, very different case, very, very different subject matter, different facts, but they will certainly be looking to see how folks around the country react to it. So, for example, the way that congressional Republicans in the Georgia delegation and around the country have reacted to it, they're going to be looking to see how this is going to, what individuals' reactions are going to be to it, to kind of inform how they go about doing whatever they're going to go about doing. But I don't think it's going to really impact what their decision is per se, but it certainly will probably impact how they announce it, timing, things like that.
New York as soon as his hearing is finished and has announced he will make remarks at his estate in Mar-a-Lago at 8:15 Tuesday evening. From the newsroom, I'm Hannah Nelson with Grady Newsource.
Thank you, Hannah. Big changes may be coming to Medicaid recipients this year. As the COVID-19 health emergency comes to an end, so does continuous coverage. Tonight, Grady Newsource reporter Olivia Wakeham brings the full story live from the studio. Olivia?
Thanks, Connor. Georgians with Medicaid and Peach Care benefits should look out for a change in their coverage this year. Saturday was the first day of Medicaid redetermination in Georgia. Over the next year, the state of Georgia will reevaluate 2.7 million recipients to make sure they still meet the requirements for coverage. Before COVID-19, Medicaid coverage was reevaluated every year. At the start of the public health emergency in 2020, the federal government required states to keep up continuous coverage. Now that it's coming to an end, this is the first time in 3 years they've reevaluated Medicaid benefits. According to a Georgia audit report, Medicaid enrollment has increased by about 40% since 2020. The report estimates that around 545,000 Georgians will lose their health coverage during redetermination.
Parents with really low incomes and young adults with low incomes, those groups, unless they qualify for employer-based coverage or marketplace coverage, those groups are likely to fall back into the coverage gap and be uninsured. It is, for example, kids showing up to the emergency room with an asthma attack, and then their parents going home with a medical bill that they can't pay. Because they find out once they get to the emergency room that, their kid has actually lost their Peach Care.
This year-long process will put a lot of pressure on an already overworked and understaffed system, Chan says. Because of the large number of people they'll be evaluating, mistakes in the process will lead to people temporarily losing their coverage even if they're still eligible, a problem that will mostly affect children. I spoke to Jennifer Richardson at the Athens Neighborhood Health Center, who says she's also worried about children losing their coverage and going without care.
Mental health is another thing. So if they're not receiving Medicaid and then they can't see a provider, psychologist, psychiatrist, then that's a big deal too.
Chan says if you or your child are denied coverage by mistake, you can appeal that denial. Medicaid recipients should also make sure their information is up to date to avoid losing coverage. Back to you, Connor.
Thanks, Olivia. April marks the beginning of Autism Acceptance Month, which sheds light on those living with social and learning disorders. But having these conditions doesn't prevent students from excelling in the classroom. Grady Newsource reporter Logan Crump tells us how students navigate their college experience.
Taking those first steps onto a college campus is a major milestone for incoming students. But for those with autism, those small steps could seem like long strides. Autism spectrum disorder is a group of conditions that result in difficulty with social interactivity and functionality. Resources for those with autism are typically provided to young children, with onset diagnoses usually occurring at age 3 or younger. But all children must eventually grow up. What happens to those resources as they become collegiate adults?
Big lecture rooms are staples in large universities. And while the large size allows for more students to learn at once, they lack the proper intimacy an autistic student may need to thrive.
Barb Trader, a psychologist with the National Autism Association, specializes in ASD education. Trader believes that the best way to provide support to students starts with inclusivity.
Inclusive classes provided the best modeling for classmates.
And while effective, these models can seemingly only be applied at a secondary level. Cammie Russell is a third-year student at the University of Georgia who is on the spectrum. They've noted some of their struggles in the classroom.
Specifically, some of my hardest classes for me were like my language classes because we would have to work in groups a lot. And like I have a harder time like being able to like connect with people, I guess.
Cammie believes that despite there being many resources on campus to use, such as the Disability Resource Center, they are not being properly advertised to the student population.
They do give them the most, but it's still not enough. And then if you're anyone else, you're just screwed.
Living with autism presents students with certain challenges. Autism is a spectrum, and it is important to note that every person learns a little differently. Logan Crump, Grady Newsource.
Schools in Athens, Clarke, and Cobb counties have started teaching students about the environment. Now, Jackson County hopes to do the same with its Green School program. Christopher Sorrell is the stormwater specialist in Jackson County. He's helping to get more teachers on board with the movement. Sorrell thinks it's crucial for students to be educated about the environment so they can be proactive in the fight against climate change.
I think youth and just, school-aged kids who see the problems, that are learning about the problems, if they can get involved at this age, they're going to be so much further than anyone in the past has. Just trying to go forward with figuring out how to fix situations, who to contact, and just being vocal, honestly, about that.
Sorrell plans for the Green School program to be in full swing by August of 2023. Have you ever wanted to travel around the world from the comfort of your own city? The Athens community had the chance to explore cultures from every corner of the globe at the International Street Festival over the weekend. Grady Newsource reporter Destiny Johnson was there.
Music, laughter, and curiosity fill the air on College Avenue. Festival goers walked from booth to booth, exploring the 20 student cultural organizations at the International Street Festival. International student life gives the Athens community the opportunity to explore other cultures just by walking downtown. This year, the annual celebration returned to its historical location downtown. It was previously held on campus due to COVID. First-time festival goer Nadine Nash didn't realize how diverse UGA's campus was.
It was cool to see that there's so many different people from all over the world that are studying here.
The International Street Festival brings together cultures from all around the world right here in Athens, Georgia. The African Graduate Students Forum gave festival goers the chance to learn about African culture through various activities.
We have African artifacts, African games that we would like to engage members with, and we would love members to learn more about African culture and identity.
This was second-year UGA student Jessica Lay's first year at the festival with the Vietnamese Student Association. She wanted festival goers to learn about Vietnamese culture and what VSA has to offer.
We have our general body meetings. We have external events with other VSAs from around the country.
The director of International Student Life says that she loves the event because it's a great way to engage with the UGA community.
It's a way to really explore the world without having to leave Athens.
From Grady Newsource, I'm Destiny Johnson.
Tomorrow, Finland will officially become the 31st member of NATO. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg spoke earlier today, saying that this is a historic week that will ultimately make both Finland and NATO stronger. UGA International Affairs professor Dr. Jeffrey Barajikian tells us why this moment is so historic.
The hope for NATO has always been to incorporate Finland into NATO. But as I said, Finland had been walking this tightrope between not wanting to upset Russia on the one hand and maybe provoke Russian aggression and trying to align economically and politically with Western Europe. And so in that way, it's kind of the realization of a long-term goal, which is to expand NATO and security cooperation as deeply into Europe as is possible. And so I think this is more of a long-term security concern for Russia and a long-term benefit to NATO. But I don't think it has an immediate impact on the Ukrainian conflict, except that it's a direct result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
The Finnish flag will be raised for the first time at NATO headquarters tomorrow at the ceremony in Brussels. Coming up after the break, we'll hear from former UGA football coach Mark Richt about a gym hosting a boxing program for people diagnosed with Parkinson's.
In foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
At the D1 Training Fitness Facility in Watkinsville, certified instructors offer a non-contact boxing class 3 days a week to provide fitness and improved physical well-being for people living with Parkinson's disease. Grady Newsource reporter McGregor Rowland recently visited the gym and has more on this solution to a problem nearly 1 million people face in the U.S.
Here at D1, a new type of boxing is implemented to help people dealing with Parkinson's. The classes are taught by physical therapist Mickey Hines, and she is a certified trainer under Rock Steady Boxing, a national nonprofit that provides workout classes to improve the fitness and livelihood of those living with Parkinson's. Hines promotes the program with her brother and former UGA football coach Mark Richt, who announced his own Parkinson's diagnosis in 2021.
When I made it public on my Twitter account, I had a lot of people come to me with ideas of how to treat it, and Rock Steady kept coming up over and over.
Beginning the program here locally this past September, Hines' passion for teaching stems from her brother.
When he was diagnosed and he said, hey, why don't we try to do this Rock Steady boxing thing, I was like, I'm all in. So that's why, that was the main reason I did it, was because of Mark.
The training of Rocksteady is meant to be rigorous and challenging to its participants, incorporating all different forms of exercises, with studies showing participants regaining increased quality of life, balance, and gait over a certain period.
Parkinson's is a movement disorder. And so then the science is, let's maybe with exercise, forced, intense, like boxing, slow it down. Let's try to slow the progression down if possible.
While this type of training is by no means a cure, it has received support from many academic professionals who see positive effects on the movement problems caused by Parkinson's.
One thing about Parkinson's disease is not only just the movement problems, but it's the ability to initiate an action. So that requires formulating a goal, then deciding how you're going to move, and then initiating that act. And I think that with repetition in boxing or in Tai Chi or any one of many activities that involve major muscle groups and control, you're going to find some advantages.
While the physical benefits are key for their mission, Hines and Richt also look to the bigger picture of forming a community atmosphere, something that they think is key when providing the benefits of this service.
The exercise is great and all the science behind it is great, but we're a family, we're a community of people that are dealing with the same stuff. In the end, we know we got to enjoy every day the best we can and just keep fighting.
McGregor Rowland, Grady Newsource.
And Athens business is working to get back on its feet after some online backlash. Grady Newsource reporter Allie Piegler tells us how an NIL deal with a UGA football player, Javon Bullard, led to tough critics for alumni cookie dough.
Jennifer Dolander never imagined the simple scoop of cookie dough would lead to an online backlash.
And they were calling us names. They were threatening us. We had people calling the cafe and threatening us.
She says those threats came from Ohio State fans, upset over a targeting penalty against Bullard that was ultimately overturned during the national championship game.
And that's when we started getting land-blasted by Ohio State fans. And they really it was beyond just them not agreeing with what we did. It was downright nasty.
It wasn't just threats, it was also one-star reviews on Google.
We put a plea out to all of our customer base saying, if you have enjoyed alumni cookie dough, please reach out and give us a review. We need it now more than ever. And we did. I mean, we had probably a dozen one-star reviews, all from Ohio State fans.
And alumni cookie dough fans answered the call.
In a matter of 12 hours, we had over 100 five-star reviews. It was the support that not only Dog Nation gave us, but really throughout the Southeast.
Now Dolander is working with Google to get those one-star reviews removed. Allie Piegler, Grady Newsource.
I'm Clay Britton with your Grady Newsource Sports. We begin with a recap of Georgia athletics over the weekend. The UGA softball team hopes to complete their sweep over the Kentucky Wildcats tonight at 7 p.m. in Athens. The UGA baseball team traveled to the Music City over the weekend to face Vanderbilt in a 3-game series. Unfortunately, the Dogs were defeated in all 3 games, with the most notable loss being 16-8 in Saturday's game. The team now has a record of 15-13 on the season, with a record of 1-8 in the SEC Conference. Their next game will be against Kennesaw State in Kennesaw tomorrow at 6 p.m. The weekend, however, wasn't a total loss for baseball fans here in Georgia. The Atlanta Braves kicked off their season on Thursday with a 7-2 victory over the Washington Nationals. On Saturday, they were able to defeat the Nationals 7-1 thanks to homers by Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, and Ozuna from the Braves. The team was unable to complete the sweep against the Nationals, losing 4-1 in Sunday's game. Their next game is tonight at 7:45 p.m. against the Cardinals in St. Louis. Coming up in 5 minutes, one UGA golfer came up just short of a victory in Augusta over the weekend.
And right now, we're not exactly seeing those clear blue skies we saw this weekend, but the sun may make an appearance later in the week. I'll have your full 5-day forecast coming up.
During high school, I hung with the wrong crowd and I never graduated.
I helped Santiago in many different ways, like all fathers do, because he always wanted to go to college.
I felt a little embarrassed to come back to school, but eventually once I came here, I knew that it's for a bigger goal.
He was very dedicated, hardworking. He connected with his teachers. He connected with other students. That was one of the key reasons why he was able to keep forging ahead.
It was amazing to see him graduate. This was one thing that meant so much to him, and of course, it meant so much to us too.
With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed. That support is everything.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Welcome back. I'm Sydney Hood with a look at weather. We're kicking the work week off with a not so bright start. It's been mostly cloudy all day long. Chilly start we've had today, 64 as a high, and it's only going to go down from here, dropping down to 56 as we head into the evening. Now, there is a chance for a couple of pop-up showers as we head into the evening, so if you have any outdoor plans, you want to save that for tomorrow, because looking at Tuesday, it's going to be warm and dry. Temperatures going up to 80 degrees, mostly cloudy all day long with a temperature drop down to 62 heading into the evening. Now, looking ahead on Wednesday for the middle of our week, we may see an appearance from the sun. Temperature is going to go up to 88 degrees. Heat wave coming in hot, dropping down to 65 degrees for a low. Thursday again is looking warm and dry, mostly cloudy all day long with a high of 85 and a low of 58. Bringing in a cold start to our Friday, we're going to see mostly cloudy skies, a high of 64, and another cold front coming in with a low dropping down to 47 degrees. So if you have plans this weekend for Easter, or maybe you're making the trip out to Augusta for the Masters tournament, you want to be sure and grab that umbrella and rain jacket, because it's going to be chilly and it's going to be wet. Coming up, we're talking with UGA golfer Jenny Bay on her experience playing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur Tournament.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back. Today marks the start of golf's most prestigious tournament hosted here in Georgia. Practice rounds of the Masters will begin today through Wednesday, and the 4-round tournament will begin Thursday. This year, 5 former UGA golfers will be competing for the green jacket, but one UGA golfer already received a spot on the podium in Augusta this weekend. Jenny Bay placed runner-up in this year's Augusta National Women's Amateur Tournament. She was able to force a sudden death playoff after coming back from a 6-shot deficit in the final round. Unfortunately, Bay came up just short of the world's #1 amateur. I was able to speak with Bay about her experience at the tournament. Here's what she had to say.
Taking it by hole in every shot, and next thing you know, I was on 18 with a 4-footer for par, and it was like kind of a make or break because, you know, if I miss it, I don't have a chance. And when I made that, I felt like a huge just sense of relief, you know, just 'cause I got, you know, runner up at Augusta National, and I played really well, and I tied for the lowest score of the entire, you know, field. And I think I'm more satisfied and a lot more proud of myself right now, more than disappointment.
Bay plans on playing in the LPGA Tour after her time here at UGA. I'm Clay Britton, and that's all for your Monday Sports.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
You're home before sunrise. On top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
The University of Georgia's Dog Day of Giving is a 24-hour show of bulldog benevolence. Alumni, faculty, staff, and students, and everyone in between are invited to give money to help support the programs at UGA, aimed to give back and remove barriers to higher education. This year, over 10,000 donations were received, totaling over $5.6 million, a new record. We now have more with the UGA Alumni Association Senior Director of Annual Giving, Sherry Wilson-Abrams, who tells us more about the impact these funds will have on the university.
This is the second year with Dog Day of Giving, and in the past we've seen colleges be able to fulfill some study abroad trips to help with that extra money that students need, or provide some funding in their student emergency funds for students who may need, those extra things that come up with emergencies. It really just speaks volumes about the passion of our Bulldog Nation and how they want to see everyone succeed, students, faculty, future Bulldogs. And there were opportunities for people to give from just a few dollars where they could see their impact was working together to buy a new refrigerator for a campus food pantry, to thousands and thousands of dollars to fund endowments for the future.
The Alumni Association even surpassed their student donation goal with 1,264 student donors. The Grill, a staple in downtown Athens since 1981, is reopening after nearly a 2-year hiatus. The burger restaurant on College Avenue closed in July of 2021 for air conditioning repairs. But last Wednesday, the second oldest restaurant in Athens opens its door once more. Current hours for the grill are 5 to 10 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. No word yet on if they'll return to a 24-hour schedule. That'll do it here for us tonight at Grady Newsource. Thank you for watching. We'll be back Wednesday. Good night.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
You know, a lot of people say, when you're going somewhere, you don't want to look back. But I beg to differ. For her to see her father celebrate his graduation, it's the best feeling in the world. I can't lie and say it was easy. But sometimes you just have to stop everything and take it in. I looked at everything in a different light. And I realized it started with me going back and getting my high school diploma.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago, in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth... Aha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is a road laid out for me.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
Leading down to the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
What do you think?
I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free, take me down to the river and walk.
How's everyone doing? There's me. Guys, such a good show today. I'm so happy. That looks so awesome. Technically, we were almost perfect. Michael slayed that. So, woohoo! Round of applause for Michael. And all my little regular, volunteers always laugh. But if you see Jill, Cade, Sophia, or Amanda, they're here every Monday, and they're awesome. So really appreciate them. Give them just a hug, a high five. Thank them again. My one thing is, guys, please label VOs and SOTs correctly. If it doesn't say SOT, then I'm going to assume it doesn't have audio, and I'm just going to play it whenever I want, which is not great because then you'll be talking and I won't hear you. So make sure you're labeling those correctly. And two, guys, if your package does get floated, go ahead and put it in anyways so that we can put it and play it if it does get unfloated, because usually we are over, but today we were under, so we did have to unfloat a reader, and we didn't have a video for it, which would have been, even better. But yeah, that's all my notes, but thanks, guys. Woohoo.
And she won't say it, but thank you to Sarah for directing that show. Colin, good job. And everybody who got their stuff in, thank you. Most everything was in on time, so I appreciate that. I have no notes, so Professor V, I'm going to give it to you, and you can give it away again.
To our wonderful guest who spent the whole day with us, and I'm just, I took some notes, but that's not about me today. It's about Jessica Foster, who is an alumna, and we're really proud and honored to have her today. So, Jessica, if you want to grab a mic, I'm sure that Tom has mic'd you up. Tell us how we did and your impressions. We need to hear from you and be inspired. And thank you for all your help and guidance in the newsroom today.
Of course. I had so much fun. I am mic'd up, so hopefully it's working correctly, but it was such an honor to be here with all of you today. And I have to say, I'm so impressed. Amazing, amazing work. I love the culture in this newsroom. I love your work ethic. So I'm proud of each and every one of you. I'm going to give you some notes. And when I give you these notes, know that I am looking at this from a professional standpoint. So I'm like giving these notes if you had been working in my newsroom for a while, okay? But again, I'm very, very impressed. And as I'm giving you these notes, if you have questions for me, please let me know. But I do want to say, Colin, excellent job producing. You really have a natural knack for it. And I know that we worked during the day to, kind of rearrange some things and think of some new ways to do things. I loved how it worked, how we deep teased that one sports story. I thought that worked really well. Yeah, I liked that. I love that you had the backups. It was very calm when we were under. You weren't really worried because you said, hey, well, I've got this and we can put this in and I've got this backup package. So great job with that. I know we talked about getting the grill VO in.
Yes. So yeah, I had the VO in. I don't think it was Tom. I guess what would I don't think they transcoded it, or I don't know what the term is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the VO was in small tree, but it wasn't like in their system.
Mm-hmm.
And watching the reader, I was like,
I know.
Jules did. Thank you, Jules, for going to get that, going out of your way, and that would have made it a lot better. It was there. I don't know exactly what the system, how the system works, but it wasn't ready to go, unfortunately.
And sometimes that happens. But what we're talking about is when we were looking at the rundown, we noticed that he had some readers, and I noticed the grill, and I was like, oh, I remember the grill from when I was here. And so I said, hey, why is that a reader? Isn't that a restaurant? Couldn't someone who's out there go and get some video of that we could use? It's like, oh, and that just makes that reader, it takes it to that whole new level. So just think, anytime we can have video, we want to have video over a reader. So just keep that in mind. And then, let's see, my other notes. Connor, great delivery, wonderful, natural delivery. I know we had some notes before the show where we talked about, sitting up and having your shoulders back, and you did that. So it looked great. So excellent job on that. Did you have any questions for me? Okay, all right. So if you think of something, let me know. So I'm going to go to the Trump story. Hannah. So Hannah, I have actually watched some of these critiques in your shows prior. And Hannah, I saw a huge, huge growth in you with your delivery. So from what I'd seen before, so excellent job on that. Yeah, I think the prompter's just a little bit down on that camera, so you can see the eyes. It looked like I was looking at the prompter. It was a little bit below, just a little bit. And I notice it because I have that eye, but it wasn't terrible. But just when y'all are on that shot, just keep in mind that prompter, and I think that was even an issue when I was here, that the prompter's just a little bit below. So you may have to cheat it just a little bit, okay? But I noticed a big improvement in your delivery, so good job on that. I would have liked to have seen some VO. Okay. I think that would have made a huge difference, and we have VO of Trump, so I think that would have been an easy addition to that. And that's even something as a producer. If you see that coming in, you can say, hey, how about let's add some little VO in here. So, and that just takes it to that next level. On your SOTs, watch the mic cord. Did you know I was going to say that?
Yes, I did. I noticed when I was watching, I was like, oh, someone's going to say something about that.
Yeah, y'all notice even when I mic'd myself up for this critique, I even threaded that mic underneath because you never want that mic cord dangling, because you want to focus on what the person is saying and not that mic cord dangling, okay? So keep that in mind. The SOT was maybe just...
a bit too long.
It was, yes. Yeah, so could have cut it just a smidge. But overall, I saw huge growth, so good job with that. All right, so our Medicaid, Olivia. Hi, Olivia. Okay, so I thought your delivery was conversational. I loved that. I loved that because you didn't have a lot of VO, you came up with a way to make it visual. Did you practice with your graphics ahead of time on the green screen? and that's hard with the green screen, and it can be disorienting, can't it? But toward the end, you really got it, and I loved toward the end of it how you were just really, showcasing that. So, and you even did the little sidestep, which that was great. So a big difference from the beginning of it to the second part of it. I saw you get a lot more comfortable in that. Was there a jump cut in the soundbite there? Okay. Okay, so some ways to do that. You didn't have VO, right? So you didn't have any VO? Okay, because normally we would want to cover that with some VO. You can put a transition there. I don't love that. I really like covering a cut in a soundbite with some VO, or maybe restructure it, because you just don't want that cut. So if you have to restructure it, you just have to restructure the bite, okay? But I did love how you used the numbers and the graphics. I think that really registered with the viewer. And again, watch the mic cords, okay? Any questions about any of that? Okay, you're welcome. All right, so our autism, the Center for Autism, Logan. All right, Logan. I really liked your stand-up. Again, I think everyone has such a conversational delivery for just starting out in this business. Everyone does such a great job with that. So impressed with that. I loved that you got someone who has autism, but I would have loved to have seen you structure the package around that person. Really bring that character to the forefront, because I think that would have connected me more to the story if it's told more through your character's eyes. So, and it took a little while to get to those thoughts. So you really, everybody, and I noticed this in a lot of reporters when they're just starting out, your track will be really, really long. Okay, I need something to catch my attention, especially in today's world, because people do not have a long attention span at all. So I need a nap pop off the top, or I need like a short punchy track and then get to my soundbite. All right, I need something to grab me. So think about that when you're structuring. But I do think you did a great job, getting your sources and getting to people for that story. So great job with that, but I would like to see it kind of structured around the character more. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay. So how do you prevent yourself from trying to sensationalize a person, if you understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
I didn't want to make it seem like Cammie's just I don't know, this super different person, by
well,
I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, I think by showcasing her, it was Tammy, right? Was it Cammie? Okay. I think by showcasing her, you actually show that she is just like everyone else. She was in the student center, right? So you could have had her writing, Cammie is just another day, but what she wants people to know is that, there's something that you need to be aware of. Just kind of structuring it like that a little bit. Because what was the main message that she wanted to get across?
Trying to advertise more resources to disabled students.
Okay, so did she feel like there weren't enough resources?
They felt like there were resources, but they weren't being projected to the students. So there were resources, it just was hard to find them.
Okay, and what year was she? Third year, so she's a junior, right?
Yeah, they mentioned in their interview that they were a freshman during COVID, so they really didn't know anything. They were only getting emails and Instagram posts, and all of that was University Union Entertainment, come get ice cream on Hardy Field, but there was nothing here are academic resources, here are resources you can use for if you're struggling mentally. Everything is entertainment based and not more so based around the mental state.
So it could have been something as simple as what was her full name?
Cammie Russell.
Tammy Russell is a junior at the University of Georgia, and then have a soundbite. You know, I love going to classes. She does go to classes like everyone else. She was diagnosed with autism at the age of 2. She says that even though she's a college student, the resources aren't available. Then you kind of go into it. Does that make sense? Okay. Does that help answer your question with, all right. Okie dokie. All right. But I loved that you got someone. That sometimes is half the battle. Okie dokie. Let me go through my notes. International Street Festival. Hello. Okay, I loved the video. You know, you had a lot of opportunity. It was bright. It was fun. It made me smile. I loved that. When you said the music and laughter, I wanted to hear that music and laughter. You know, that would have been a wonderful spot for a pop, a nap pop, or maybe a pop of da 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 da. It's the music and the laughter, ha 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 ha. Then we go into our track. Okay, so see how that really just pulls me in when you do that. Again, stand-ups. I'm so impressed with y'all, with your conversational delivery. So good job with that. When you're introducing the people, because I noticed you had a lot of characters that you introduced, I want to see them, because I kind of just saw some general shots. So if you're saying, Jessica Foster's visiting Grady Newsource today, but you're just kind of seeing a big wide shot of this, it's not as effective unless you do a sequence shot of me. So you could have me, Jessica Foster is, and then go to a closer shot of me, then maybe go to the wide shot. So see dog, say dog kind of thing, it applies to people as well. Now you want to be careful with that because you don't want jump cuts with it. Do y'all understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the sequence shots? Like if somebody's writing something, I got a wide shot of them, a medium shot, and then a close-up of them writing, then I could go back to their shot, so then it's not a jump. So I want to see that in my people, even on the street festival. Maybe you can get them kind of looking at something. All right. I think that last soundbite, when we looked at that, she said, I've got to cut some time. So we looked at her last soundbite, and that last soundbite was just poppy and fun, and I thought that was great because it was a little long before. And did you see how that kind of made a difference?
Yes.
Yeah. I feel like you probably could have even done a little wrap-up line, one little, to kind of wrap up the festival a little bit before our sig out. I don't love ending on a soundbite and then going to a tag. Different newsrooms probably have different rules on that. I like something to kind of tie a little bow on it. Now, if you're going to be live in the studio, I'm fine ending on a shot, and then you're in studio is what's tying a bow on it. But I do like a little bit of an ending line. So, any questions about that?
No, thank you so much.
You're welcome, but good shooting. All right. Our NATO shot. Was that Cooper? Yes. Okay, that was a great way to localize it. So good job. And I know we talked about that earlier, but I thought that worked out great. I thought your interview was good. So good job on that. Our first bump, Colin, did we have VO for that first bump?
The first bump?
Yeah, going before, in the end of our A block? Going in, was it just scripted as a reader, or should it have had? It was scripted as a reader. Okay. Anytime that we, again, going back to anytime we can have video, let's add it in there, even in the bumps. Okay. Yeah. And I forget what that first bump was. Do you remember what we were teasing?
Yeah, to the Sojo story, the Mark Rick.
Yeah, so you would kind of just take a little piece from his as a VO. Gotcha. Yep, and that makes a big difference. Okay. All right, so we're going to our Sojo story, and that's McGregor. Okay. Loved your interviews. Yeah, loved the story. Mark Rick was the football coach when I was here, so I kind of had a little connection to that. I needed gnats, your gnat sound. I even asked them in the control room, I said, hey, are his gnat sounds not bumped up, or are they not there? So did you cut the gnats out, or were they just really, really low?
So I decided to take a lot of them out because in that gym there was music just blasting in the background, so I was curious
Okay. 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 So we never want to cut gnats out. Okay? Because then it's unnatural. Because you never go into a room and don't hear anything. Like, even if we were completely silent in here, we would hear ambient noise. So you don't want to ever cut those gnats out. And I'm going to tell you, I have gone into a place before and I've said, hey, like that music, we're not going to be able to hear anything. So while we're in here shooting, can we turn that music down? And normally they will. Okay, so don't be afraid, because they want to sound good and they want to look the best that they can as well. But even you probably could have even lowered them enough on your audio track to still make it work. And I feel like you had a lot of opportunities to do some gnat pops. Like, I wanted to hear Rick hitting that punching bag and even starting with that. You could have even started, boom. This isn't where you used to see Coach Mark Rick. You used to see him in the big stadium, and then maybe some archive. I don't know if we can get archive footage. I don't know, but that would have been cool, a cool way to do it. But again, your interviews were great. I feel like you pulled out some great sound bites from your subjects. Be really careful when you're framing. Did you notice the framing of Coach Rick? Okay, you know what I'm talking about? It was a little crooked, but we also want to have enough lead room. So I feel like he was looking the wrong direction. Okay? So like, if I'm looking here, like I want to have more room on this side if I'm looking, my look space. Yeah, y'all know what I'm talking about with that, right? Yeah, okay. But yeah, I loved the topics. I thought your B-roll was shot really well in there, okay? Any questions about any of that? No. Okay, all right. But gnats. I love gnat sound. So, and your newsroom, when you go into a newsroom, and if you're a reporter and you fill your packages with gnat sounds, you're going to be like the superstar, because people are so bad about not using it. So use it. All right. Cookie dough. All right. So let's talk about our cookie dough, alumni cookie dough, Allie. Allie, you get the award for working the fastest on editing today. Because we were working on your script, and what time was it that you started editing? 4 o'clock, and you had it in by, so that was fast, yes. Why don't you tell them a little bit, and we'll probably need the microphone, but tell them kind of how we restructured today, because I feel like you learned a lot from us going through that script, so I want you to share with them.
What I learned from us restructuring my script today is that, like, I feel like I have to follow a template, like, very strictly, and not allow myself to be creative. And so instead of it being like, okay, first I introduce it, then I have my handshake, and then I have my clip of her talking, and then I talk again, and then there's another clip. Like, we completely restructured it, and like, I had 2 sound bites of her speaking in there, and then we actually broke it up into 4, and then I explained, what she was talking about in more depth in between each of the sound bites, rather than like just expecting everyone to understand what she meant. And then we completely restructured my lead and my like beginning of my package, and we went through like the B-roll that I had, and so then it was like, okay, do you have gnat sound of the car? Well, we had that, but that didn't make the most sense. And so then we structured it around the scoop of the cookie dough, and how like that one scoop, she didn't expect it to make that big of a deal, or to be that big of a deal, but in the end it was, because that was the cookie dough flavor for Javon Bullard, who has the NIL deal, who essentially, kind of caused the drama in the cookie dough shop. So I learned a lot today, and I'm very appreciative and grateful for your assistance.
Oh, of course, yes. Did y'all notice her track was short in her package today? It was short track, and then we got to a soundbite, and her sound bites didn't drag out, because she was talking about, she had a long soundbite, and we cut that and put some track in between and just reworked all that. So don't be afraid to do that. Short, poppy track, okay? Because again, people don't have a very long attention span, and we want to grab them. We want to grab them where they're at. with the cookie dough, I liked that you had the scoop. When we said her name, and I should have mentioned this to you, I wanted maybe have that sequence shot of seeing her, then maybe we could have gone back to a close-up of the cookie dough, then to her sound bite. So just keep that in mind. I know I talked about that a little bit earlier. And be real careful when you're shooting that you're not looking down at people, okay? I always, because we never want our subjects to look like, don't hurt me. You know, you don't want them looking up at you. Make sure you're eye level with them, okay? And this brings up a good point. When I was a student here, I did a story. It was about a young child who needed a kidney transplant. And I remember getting like on the ground and shooting. Like, I mean, I was sitting on the floor because I didn't want to like hover over him and make him look inferior. I wanted you to be there with him. So don't be afraid. Like, take it off the tripod. Do what you got to do and, you know, get those shots. All right. Sports. I loved how we teased ahead to the sports story later on. We had talked about formatting that. I'd love to doing that. I feel like maybe it would have worked great if we could have done a transition from the cookie dough into your first story. Like almost like acknowledged that was like a...
Yeah, I was looking at the rundown thinking that was kind of weird because it went straight to me.
Yeah.
And of course all I had sports.
Yeah, like even if you could have done like some little, I don't know, like what is next for him? Like what is next for that particular player or something?
Yeah, I don't know, but I agree with you since it was like in the middle or just right after that story. Just
or
acknowledge
you could even like ask Allie, like, hey, like, you know, is there some little fact that I could kind of throw into my sports, like, yeah.
Definitely could have connected.
Like,
so it's Javon Bullard.
yeah, like, hey, Allie, yes, and I hear his mom actually donated 35 liters. Hey, now let's get into sports.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That would have been really good. Later on, when you did your sports story with the golfer, right? Okay, excellent job getting that soundbite.
Thank you.
I thought that worked out great. I would have loved that to have been framed differently. I know when we're doing, was it Zoom or was it FaceTime?
It was Zoom, and she was working at the golf course. She's
Okay.
in an internship, and so I think I called her like on a break or something.
Right.
And she just took her phone out with her.
I know. And we've kind of run into that before.
Yeah,
And, you know,
I
Zoom
did.
is like so much more acceptable, especially after the pandemic, getting those Zoom interviews. And we've kind of gotten to where we're like, hey, we want you to look the best you can, so I'm going to need you to adjust it just a little bit. And we work with them until we're like, oh,
absolutely.
that's it.
Yeah, I think if I would have told her, hey, be set up like somewhere good, it obviously would have been better. I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
And we were already talking. So.
And sometimes you just have to get what you can get.
But I totally agree.
Yeah, even on that, you could say, oh, can you lower it just a little bit? Okay, that's it. Yeah. So, because, I mean, she doesn't have to be set up with lights or anything, but you can just adjust them just a little bit.
Yeah.
But great job getting it.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions for me on?
Did I smile enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, with sports, I think you can always smile a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I always tell people, like, before you go on air, I mean, especially when you're first starting out, just be like, okay, all right, just get those nerves out. Because I think we're so used to being like, I've got to be a news person, and we were talking about this earlier, right? Like, be yourself. Because people are going to connect when you're yourself. And I know when I was first starting out, I'm like, oh, I need to be so serious. And then when I realized I'm just going to be Jessica, that's when the viewers really started making that connection. So I want all of that I want that for all of you as well. All right. Let's go on to our next one. Sydney with weather. You were very enthusiastic on the teases, and that made me want to watch. Okay, loved that. When you're doing weather, do the little pivot walk to the side. So I saw a lot of the side of your face, so don't be afraid to da-da-da-da-da, da-da, da-da-da.
Back and forth.
Yeah, kind of go back and forth. And then that little pivot walk like this that we actually saw when you were working with the graphics. So that always works well too. But again, like I said, the teases, I was like, oh yeah, let me see what the weather's going to be. So good job with that. Any questions about weather? No? Okay. All right. And I think that's all of it, right? Did I miss anything? Anybody have any other questions? Oh, good job getting the sound bite. That I know that was a quick turn on that, but good job getting that in.
I thank you. I mean, this is just amazing. Thank you so much for making the Nat pop and starting around building your story around a character, my favorite thing. Yes, and when you have gold in your hand, when something strikes you, that opening shot and right to it. Yeah. Great advice. Everything. I really, really appreciate everything you did today for my wonderful students. They really, really benefited from having you there and inspiring you. I can see why you're so successful just looking at your performance, and you're absolutely right. Be yourself. Of course, the tone has to be appropriate, but be yourself. Don't be an anchor, There's no such thing. So great advice. I'm extremely grateful, and I hope you make this a tradition, Jessica.
Yes.
If you're able to, even if you can do it on Zoom from once in a while with my future students, I really, really enjoyed this whole day with you, and I wish I could have been there, but
we'll make it happen.
And sorry, yes. I've been given a clean bill of health, but still.
Yes.
And yes, it is just wonderful, and I'm glad. I totally agree with everything you said about my students. They are quite amazing, and I can't say enough about them. But thank you to Tom, who's also amazing. It was his idea to have those live pictures.
Yes.
And he's made a big improvement on the way we do things, Jessica.
I loved the live pictures. Loved that.
That's the idea. Yes.
At all. That was Connor. I can't take credit for that at all.
Yeah.
Well, you made it happen, and Connor, you did a great job. Connor is a natural. He's just like ready to go, and he's quite amazing. So, guys, I won't keep you anymore because I know that they have other things to do. Jessica, big virtual hug to you and to everybody. I miss you tremendously and hope to be Wednesday with you guys. And so Jessica, now we've got our phone numbers. We'll stay in touch.
Please do. I would love to come back.
When are you going home? Are you leaving tonight or
tomorrow? Staying? Yeah. My parents still live in the area, so so they love when I'm here.
Well, give them my best and how impressed I am with their daughter.
Oh, thank you.
All right, guys.
All right.
Love you all, and